Axolotl. Cut off its leg, it grows back. Crush its spinal cord, it rebuilds itself. Damage its brain, it regenerates new tissue. Not scar tissue, fully functional organs, identical to the originals. Scientists have been studying this for over a century and still can't figure out how to replicate it in any other animal. But here's what makes the axolotl truly strange. It never grows up. Most salamanders go through metamorphosis, lose their gills, develop lungs, walk on land. The axolotl refuses. It stays in its larval stage forever, breathing underwater through those feathery external gills like a creature frozen in time. A permanent tadpole with regeneration abilities that put every other vertebrate on Earth to shame. Real quick, most of you watching right now aren't subscribed, and that's fine, but if you're enjoying this, just hit subscribe and like. It's free, takes a second, and it helps a lot. Also, stick around because at the end of this video, there's one question only people who watched everything can answer. Alright, back to it. Fire salamander. Black skin covered in bright yellow spots, so vivid they look painted on. Every single pattern is unique. No two fire salamanders have the same markings, like fingerprints on a toxic animal. Because those colors aren't decoration, they're a warning. Behind its eyes sit two massive glands loaded with neurotoxin. When threatened, this salamander doesn't run, it aims. It shoots poison directly from those glands at whatever's trying to eat it. But the part that really sets it apart from almost every amphibian alive? It gives live birth. Most salamanders lay eggs in water. The fire salamander carries its young inside its body and delivers fully formed larvae directly into streams. Some populations skip the larval stage entirely and give birth to miniature adults. A toxic, land-dwelling amphibian that shoots venom from its face and gives birth like a mammal. Tiger salamander, largest land-dwelling salamander in North America. Dark body, bright yellow bars like war paint. Looks harmless enough, until you see what happens when too many larvae share the same pond. Some of them change. Under crowded conditions, certain larvae undergo a different transformation. Their heads widen, their mouths stretch, their teeth grow longer. They become cannibals. Not scavengers picking off the dead, active hunters targeting their own siblings. They literally reshape their own skulls to eat their brothers. And this isn't a defect, it's a built-in survival switch. When resources get scarce, the body says, become the predator or become the food. Some populations never metamorphose at all. They stay aquatic their entire lives, breeding underwater without ever touching land. The same species living two completely different lives depending on what the environment demands. Nature didn't give the tiger salamander one plan, it gave it a menu. Ribbed newt. This salamander uses its own skeleton as a weapon. When a predator grabs it, the ribbed newt contracts its muscles and pushes its ribs straight through its own skin. Sharp bones piercing through the body from the inside out. And each rib tip passes through poison glands on the way out, coating itself in toxin before puncturing the attacker. A living porcupine made of its own bones. The skin heals after. No scarring, no infection, it just closes up like nothing happened. An animal that weaponized its own skeleton, poisons the shrapnel on the way out, and regenerates the damage every single time. Built-in armor that costs nothing but a few seconds of pain. Spotted salamander. This salamander has something living inside its cells that no other vertebrate on Earth has. Algae. Green, photosynthetic algae embedded directly into its cells. An animal with plant machinery running inside its own body. The embryos absorb the algae while still inside the egg. The algae produces oxygen. The embryo produces carbon dioxide. A trade deal written before birth. But that's not all. Once a year, on a single rainy night in spring, spotted salamanders emerge by the hundreds. They crawl out of the forest floor and march to the same pond where they were born. The exact same pond. every year. They breed in massive congregations, then vanish back underground until the next rain calls them out. An animal powered partly by sunlight, loyal to one pond for life, and visible to the world for exactly one night a year. This salamander has never seen anything, not once in its entire life. It lives in total darkness, deep inside flooded caves beneath the mountains of Europe. No eyes, no pigment, just pale, translucent skin stretched over a body that hasn't changed in 20 million years. It can go 10 years without eating, and it lives for over a century. 100 years in complete silence, in complete darkness, barely moving. When locals first found one washed out of a cave by floodwater, they thought it was a baby dragon, an animal that abandoned sight, abandoned speed, abandoned almost everything, and outlasted nearly every species that didn't. Hellbender, the largest salamander in North America, up to 2 feet long, flat, wrinkled, covered in folds of loose skin that make it look like it's melting. They call it the snot otter, but those skin folds aren't a defect, they're how it breathes. The hellbender has no gills, barely uses its lungs. It absorbs oxygen directly through its skin. It needs cold, clean, fast-moving rivers to survive. Which means when a hellbender disappears from a stream, it's not just losing a species, it's a warning. The water itself is dying. Most Americans have no idea this animal exists in their rivers, and by the time they find out, it might already be gone. Giant Japanese salamander, 5 feet long, up to 50 pounds, the largest amphibian alive on Earth. It doesn't chase its prey, it doesn't need to. It sits on the bottom of a river, completely still, mouth wide open, and waits. When something swims too close, it strikes with a vacuum-like bite that sucks the prey in whole. Fish, crabs, smaller salamanders, gone in a fraction of a second. It hunts by sensing tiny vibrations in the water. It doesn't need sharp eyes, it feels everything. This animal has existed for over 50 million years. It outlasted the dinosaurs, survived ice ages, watched entire ecosystems rise and collapse around it. And it's still here, sitting in a river in Japan, waiting, the same way it's always waited. Now let's get to the question. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Now pay attention because this one isn't for everyone. Which of these salamanders uses its own skeleton as a defensive weapon, pushing its ribs through its skin and coating them in poison to stop attackers? Drop your answer in the comments. The first people to get it right will be featured in the next video. And that's it for today, but I'll be back. Don't miss the next one. See, in the next video, Sydney funnel web spider.